Last topic with transformations is just identifying a transformation and understanding how to communicate them properly. So, if we recall from grade 7, you have 3 different transformations. You have a translation, a reflection, and a rotation. A translation was kind of like a slide, a reflection is a flip, and a rotation is a turn. So, a translation. We communicate translations in 2 different ways. We communicate them by either saying left, left, right, up, or down. So we use our words, or we can use coordinates. So we usually would use a negative. So I'm going to type this up. So we would use a negative. Negative numbers represent going to the left or down. So depending on where you put it, always remember the first number represents your x-axis, whereas your second number represents your y-axis. So x comma y, always make sure that you remember that's how we represent coordinates. So the first number has to be left or right, whereas the first one has to, first number has to be left and right. The second one has to be up or down. So it has to go left or right, and the second one has to be down or up. So again, if it's negative, it's going left or down. If it's positive, you're going to the right or up. So positive numbers represent going up or to the right. Okay, so that's how we communicate our translations. Okay, so we just shift it over. We're just shifting. We're sliding it over. Okay, our reflections. So we've talked about reflections, and you've seen different ways we've communicated them. So I can communicate them by giving you a number. So y equals 3, x equals -2. I can communicate by saying the x-axis or the y-axis, or I can communicate it through an oblique line. So remember, it's a slant line that goes through 2 different points. So that's another way we can communicate. And then lastly, for our rotations, we communicate with our, for rotations by saying how many degrees and about which point. So we can say either the origin or another point. And then we have to remember to identify the direction as well. So you need both, so you need to provide direction and degrees. So direction is clockwise or counterclockwise, okay? And the degrees. So, do a few examples with you and then you guys will get to practice. So if we take a look here, look at the first one. So I'm going to identify the following transformation and if it were a translation, reflection, or rotation, and I'm going to communicate accordingly. So if I take a look here at this image, I can tell that this is a reflection, and it's reflected about this line right here. So I would communicate that this is a reflection, and I am reflecting it about, let's make this a little smaller, about, well, this is, I was going to say this point right here is x equals 1, 2, 3. So x equals 3. So it's a reflection. And then we reflect about the line x equals 3. Ooh. So that's how I would communicate that accordingly. So this is a reflection about line x equals 3. This one right here, if you take a look here, I believe this one's also a reflection, but this reflection happens right there. And that's a reflection about the x-axis. So that's a reflection about line y equals 0. So remember, y equals 0 is my x-axis, or about the x-axis. So that's how I would communicate accordingly. Okay, my last 2 examples. Sorry. So this one, it's not a reflection, I know that for sure. but it looks like I just moved it over. So because it looks like I just moved it over, that means it's a translation. So it is a translation. And where did I move it? So translation, and I translated it 1 over. That's it, just 1 over. And I translated it 1 over to the right. So because I moved it 1 over to the right, this is how many different ways I can write it. So I can write 1 to the right and then 0 up, right? Another way I can write it is using coordinates, 1, comma, 0. Because remember, x goes first, y goes after. So 1, comma, 0. So that's another way I can write it as well. Okay? And then my last one, we need to figure out what kind of transformation this is. It could be a reflection. So it could be, because I could reflect it about, if I just show you guys right now, I could reflect it about this line. So it could be a reflection here. So this is, I'm just going to change the color of it. Change the color of this to red and this guy to red. So this is a, this could be a reflection, but it could also be a rotation. So if I just move this over here, so it could be a reflection about the oblique line through, well, we got to pick 2 points on that line. So a reflection between, let's say, this point here and this point here. I just picked 2 random points on the line. So that's 2 and 2. And this one's -2, -2. So it's oblique line through points 2 and 2 and -2, -2. So it is a reflection, and it can also be a rotation. So it can also be a rotation. And if you take a look at it, it would have been rotated. Rotation. So the rotation would have occurred from the origin, so rotation about the origin, and I can see that it's 180 degrees. Now remember, you don't need to add direction for 180 degrees because it's the same either way. But just to show you, I can quickly just draw. So 1, 2, 3. So that's my shape. Oh, sorry. Group. Just going to show you guys real quick if you can't see the rotation. I'm going to show it to you right now. So if I just change the color to orange here, make it a little, so if I put this in the origin, and remember you always put like a dot at the top, so I'll just do like a little line at the top. So now if I rotate these, group these guys. So if I rotate about the origin, 180 degrees, so I just turned it 180, so that little line there is at 180, and I move it down this way, I get that same shape. So it's both a reflection and a rotation. And that's it.